High above the village of Oakhaven, the peak of clouds touched the belly of the sky. To everyone else, it was just a mountain. But for Mike, it was a challenge. He spent his mornings watching the eagles dance in the thermal currents, wishing he could join them. He didn't just want to see the view. He wanted to know what it felt like to touch a cloud. Mike gathered everything he could find: sturdy oak branches, discarded canvas from the sails of old boats, and coils of hemp rope. He worked until his fingers were sore, lashing the wood into the shape of giant heavy wings. If the birds can do it with feathers, he whispered to himself, I can do it with grit. The first attempt lasted only 3 seconds. Mike leaped from a low boulder, flapped his heavy wooden wings with all his might, and landed face first in the soft clover. The oak branches snapped like dry crackers. He sat on the grass, his heart heavy and his eyes stinging with the salt of frustration. I'm just a boy, he sighed. Boys are meant for the ground. The ground is a fine place to start, but a terrible place to stay, a voice said within. Mike looked up to see Nia, the village's oldest kite maker. She wasn't carrying heavy wood. Instead, she held a tiny bird carved from pith wood, so light it seemed to float in her palm. She reached out a hand to help Mike up, her eyes twinkling with secret knowledge. Nia sat Mike down and showed him the little bird. You tried to fight the wind with weight, Mike, she explained softly. But the wind isn't an enemy to be conquered. It is a partner to be danced with. Every time your wings break, they are telling you how to build the next pair better. Failure isn't a wall, it's a blueprint. For weeks, Mike and Nia worked side by side. They traded heavy oak for flexible bamboo and thick canvas for shimmering silk. Nia taught him how to plant the wood until it was thin as a leaf and how to sew seams that caught the air instead of blocking it. Mike learned that patience was a tool just as important as a needle or a knife. Just as the great wind whirler was nearly finished, a sudden, fierce summer storm rolled over the hills. The wind howled through the workshop, knocking over the frames and scattering their precious silk. Mike tried to grab the materials, but the gale was too strong. He watched as his hard work was tossed around like autumn leaves. It's no use, he cried out over the thunder. The wind doesn't want me up there. Nia didn't try to chase the silk. Instead, she stood tall, watching a young sapling near the workshop. The tree bent low, its leaves brushing the dirt, but it did not snap. When the gust passed, it sprung back upright. Look at the bamboo, Mike, she said calmly. It doesn't fight the storm by standing stiff. It survives by being flexible. Your spirit must be like bamboo. When the sun returned, they didn't mourn what was lost. They gathered the scraps and rebuilt. This time, Mike made the joints of the wind whirler move and flex. Finally, the day came. The machine was a masterpiece of orange silk and golden bamboo. Together, Mike and Nia carried the great wind whirler to the highest cliff. He felt a flutter in his chest, not of fear, but of readiness. With a shout of pure joy, Mike ran. He didn't jump, he let the wind lift him. The silk puffed out, the bamboo flexed, and suddenly, the ground dropped away. He wasn't falling, he was soaring. Below him, Nia waved, a small figure against the green. Mike reached out his hand and felt the damp, cool mist of a cloud. He had learned the greatest lesson of all, that the wind only carries those who refuse to stop trying.